Good morning, crazy people. It's raining here. Morning, Dibble. Morning, Darlene. Morning, TG. It's raining here. It is awesome napping weather, which is what is going to happen. It's not going to be a long show. I haven't slept yet. Like, that's something new. I had to turn my fan up yesterday. Got too hot in my room. I couldn't breathe. Yeah, I don't know when it started raining here, but um, I looked out the window around 4 o'clock in the morning, I think, and with the reflection from, with the light from street lights, people's house lights or whatever, I could see the raindrops on my window. I'm like, oh, it's raining. It's supposed to rain here for like the next 3 or 4 days. Maybe I'll actually get some sleep. I sleep better when it's rainy. So I had fun with my fan yesterday. It's a, standing oscillating fan. And I have to use one of those little hand whisk brooms to clear the dust off it every once in a while because it gets all blocked and then you're not getting any air. And I'm like, oh, I'm dying in here. So I I had to transfer off the bed in order to reach it. So I'm sitting there and I'm whisking it away, which hurts. Hey Carol, good morning. And now the problem I've had with it is there's no obvious way. Like usually you have the little latches on the side of the fan to take the cover off, right? I mean the thing goes together, so there's got to be a way to take it apart. This one doesn't have any of those on the sides that I can't see on the bottom, and I couldn't feel anything because my nerves are all messed up in my hands. So basically, dust just clumps of crap accumulates at the bottom of my fan, and it's nasty. Probably one of the reasons my eyes are always watering. But so I'm whisking the thing, and I decided to just get the dust all off the outside of it as well, instead of just in between the little slat things. And apparently there was a latch on the bottom because I caught it with the fan with the little whisk broom, and the whole front just fell off. I was like, ah! I'm like, well, I guess that's one way to clean it. So then I was able to clean the inside too, and I just didn't put the cover back on it. So hopefully the cat won't stick her foot in there. But yeah, no snow in South Carolina. There you go, Dibble. You do you, girl. I don't have furniture. I mean, I have tables, a couple of chairs, my bed. Going on holiday, huh, Scarlett? So that was my excitement yesterday was the fan trying to injure me, throwing itself at me. Yay! Got confirmation that the daughter's boyfriend and his kids are moving in with my mom's house. They're gonna move in when school's out, so they started clearing out the attic and things like that. So my mom's like, they took a whole bunch of stuff to the dump. I was like, well, I hope it was stuff you wanted to get rid of. I mean, don't ask me if I want anything. But he's got to try and make room for his stuff up there. I was like, he's not gonna be. He's got a three bedroom condo. It's not gonna be able to fit everything in my mom's attic. So I was like, they'd be better off buying a storage unit. It's too bad they can't finish the other half of the attic because there's two halves upstairs, which used to be all attic, but they my dad did have the one side finished, so it's a room. That's what my granddaughter uses as a bedroom. It's very small. The other it's over the garage, so basically it's the same size as the garage, but the roof slants, so you don't have the wall space or headroom. Um, the other half of the attic is the entire length of the house. I was like, it's too bad you can't finish off the other half because that would be a bigger room for the girls, you know. But no way to do it, Dibble. Absolutely no way to do it. Wouldn't do any good anyway. It's just like talking to my son. It's not gonna happen. But yeah, they're gonna stay long enough to get the well. What my mom said is they're gonna stay long enough to be able to save the money to put a down payment on a house so that they and to take care of his credit issues. I was like, no, they're gonna stay as long as they can take advantage of you. She's like, no, they're not. I'm like, Uh, my mom doesn't want to finish off the attic because she's like, well, they're not going to be here that long. I don't have any need for having another. Because she's like, oh, we could fit, another bedroom and a bathroom up there, which, for two teenage girls, that would be great. But she goes, but they won't be here that long, so I won't have any need of it once they're gone. I'm like, okay. So I still forgot to ask her how big their dog is. I mean, my mom's got a Chihuahua, so that's kind of like doesn't take up any room. And it's always sitting on my mom, so it takes up no house space whatsoever. Cherry, my daughter's dog, is pretty big, but 50, 60 pounds. So I don't know how big or what kind of dog they have. Yeah, that won't happen either. She owns her home. She's not going to move, you know. And when I, kidding around said, hey, when they move out, I can move in. It will be easier to, you won't have to travel. And she goes, she laughed and went, no. So that's not happening either. I mean, it would be a good solution, because I would actually, I mean, I would be helping my mom out with expenses, unlike my daughter. But yeah, she said no. It just frustrates me because there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, nothing, you know. But having two teenage girls in that tiny little room, and then when his other daughter comes, sometimes he gets her twice a month, and sometimes he gets her once a month. Um, but throwing another, and she's like 9 or 10, so throwing another kid in there, they're not going to be able to walk. There's not going to be any space. Um, oh, I love you too, Dibble. Yeah, my mom going no. I mean, I'm pretty easy to live with, considering what she has to deal with now. She was washing down the hallway walls yesterday when I called her. I'm like, good lord. And she's like, I just have the woodwork to do left. Now, my mom will get down on her hands and knees. She'll get down on the floor. She'll stand on something to reach. So hopefully she didn't hurt herself. I don't know. I didn't hear from her after that, but I was like, just pace yourself, mom. Don't try and do everything at once. She's like, well, the condition of my house is driving me crazy. I'm like, then tell them to clean up after themselves. I mean, this is the thing. If I was there, this wouldn't happen because everybody'd get all their shit taken away, and you get nothing until you help. Like, "Grr." But she's doing okay, Darlene. She's tired, frustrated. Um, her she still gets winded really quickly. So, but she actually sat down and talked to me for an hour Wednesday. I learned a whole bunch of shit about my mom that I never even knew. Like that she worked in a casino in Vegas. I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, you rowdy girl, you. I found out that neighbors, two of the neighbors' husbands hit on my mom while my dad was in the hospital when I was a baby. She said I was like maybe 2 or 3. My dad got real sick. I remember him being sick. He had a emphysema, and he got hospitalized a couple times. And apparently, the neighborhood men were hitting on my mom. I'm like, those dirty bastards. She turned them down, but I mean, hell, she didn't even want to have sex with my dad. She definitely wasn't going to have it with anybody else. But yeah, I'm like, wow. I found out she lived in Spokane, Washington for a while. I'm like, wow. That my dad was chasing a divorce from his first wife for 10 years before him and my mom could get married. I'm like, damn. All kinds of stuff. Yeah, I do too, Dibble. It was worth the extra pain because I mean, I stayed in the wheelchair longer than normal, like an hour longer because I didn't want to stop the conversation. Um, but it was worth the extra irritation to me, physical irritation. Because it was just nice to just sit and talk to somebody. I don't get to do that. And it was nice to hear about stuff that I didn't know about. Um, Although, in retrospect, it's kind of fucked up that my dad would spend 10 years trying to get divorced from his first wife in order to marry my mom. And then he ended up treating my mom like shit. I'm like, wow. You would think that if somebody meant that much to you, that you would treat them better, but no, no. But, uh, yeah, my family dynamic is fucked up. So fucked up. Morning, Jen. Oh, I got confirmation my son is still breathing. He went online and was gaming the other night. I'm like, oh look, he lives. I haven't heard from him, but he was gaming, so I know he's still alive. Yeah, Dibble. They are. Hey, Susie. Good morning. And let me tell you, I am so happy when I hear about people who, their kids are there for them and they get along with them, and you know, so I'm really happy that people have that kind of relationship with their kids because mine is definitely, not like that. So, although, honestly, there is a little thing in my head that goes, "Oh, that must be nice. Wonder what that's like." You know what I mean? It's like that little But I am really happy for my friends that have good relationships with their children, um, because that's how it should be. You know. So who else is missing not having Victoria's shows in the morning? I was so happy to see her on Ella's. Um, and then she said she also told Ella she wasn't going to be leaving. She's going to be continuing to do Fridays. Every Friday she'll be on Ella's, so that's awesome. I miss morning shows, man. My mornings are so depressing now. Yeah. One. And I mean, I don't want to guilt trip her or anything, but fuck, girl. No, I mean, I don't have a lot to look forward to. Yes, I know, TG. I was there when it was given to you. Um, yeah, I know, Jen. I honestly I don't have very much to look forward to, and Victoria's the only other time I set my alarm is for if I'm moderating, because I want to make sure that I'm awake and don't sleep through it, because that's bad. Very unprofessional. Sleep through something you're supposed to be working. But I have my alarm set for 7:30 every morning because I look forward to Victoria's shows. YouTube knows you're not an angel, TG. YouTube knows you're fibbing. Halo thief. So I mean, I do understand her needing a break, but I want it to be a fast break. Not gonna lie. I love you, V. Don't think I'm trying to make you feel guilty, but I kind of am. It's all about me. Yeah, TG, Philly Flipper on Thursday during Ella's auction bought 5 gifts memberships, and then Google just picks them randomly who gets them, and you were the one of the ones that Google picked for a membership. Congratulations. So that came from Paul. Then Missy did the same thing on Friday. So 5 more people got gift memberships. It's kind of cool. Debbie, Susie wants to know if you got her email, in case you're not paying attention to the chat. Debbie, I agree. I agree with that 100%. Yeah, she's definitely one of a kind. Victoria is. She's awesome. Sorry for the silence. I'm so tired. I'm like sitting here dozing, falling asleep. Can you guys hear my fan? I don't know if it's coming over my speakers or not. Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, we have no wind here. There's a pause in the rain right now. As far as, well, it might still be lightly raining. It's hard for me to tell. I shut my light off. It's nice and dark in my room. My cave is dark. Yeah, my house was like 82 degrees yesterday out in the other room. So it was probably close to like 86 in my room. I couldn't breathe, but I didn't want to turn the AC on because if I can avoid raising that electric bill, I will. So that's why I was fucking with the fan. And it worked. I didn't have to turn up the fan to top volume, just the second one up. My weather channel thing said it was like 60 outside right now, which is fine. It's good. I can deal with 60. I can deal with 60. Okay, I got one cat on a box, and the other cat's laying behind me. All right. And the dog is passed out, as usual. Man, I'll tell you, I got so lucky with this dog. She's so mellow. She's the most chill dog I've ever had. No, the fan blade didn't fall off. The cover. Hey, Brandon. The cover of it fell off while I was cleaning the outside of it. I hit the latch on the bottom, which I didn't know was there because I couldn't find the latch. You know, my hands are so messed up. So the whole cover of it popped off. It wasn't running at the time. I don't have it running when I'm cleaning it. But yeah, the whole cover popped off and flew at me. I was like, ah! I was like, well, that's one way to get it cleaned. But then I was able to get most of the crap out from that was trapped inside it, so I have another fan. It's brand new. It's still in the box because I had gotten it for when I was working out in the studio, and I haven't been able to do that, so I haven't needed the fan. Shoveling. I'm so glad I don't live with there's snow now, because I'll tell you, I got people that are like, "Oh, I'll move back to Massachusetts." Fuck no, there's snow there. And I don't have all-terrain tires on my wheelchair. Not hooking up a plow to that sucker. Mm-mm. Couldn't afford to live there anyway. Hell, I couldn't afford to live in a cardboard box under a bridge in Massachusetts at this point. Shit is way too expensive. Mm-mm. Well, they can keep it. I like rain better. Now, if I could get a little thunder, I'd be happy too. But, you know. I mean, you know, when I was a kid, I loved snow because it meant, hey, we might not have school today, you know. But when I got old enough that my dad said, go get the shovel and start shoveling the driveway, I was like, I hate snow. And hearing my dad bitch that he just finished shoveling the driveway and the plow came by and plowed in the end of the driveway every single time. Mm, yeah. And I told him, I said, it could be worse. You could have not shoveled out the driveway and they came by and plowed it in, then you'd have extra snow on top of snow, you know? But he'd just tell me to shut up and he'd wander off muttering. Really? Well, then you're in the right place. I couldn't stand shoveling snow. Not my favorite thing to do. Uh-uh. I mean, it's real pretty to look at, but I don't want to be in it. What's funny is my dad had a snowblower, but if there was less than like 6 or 7 inches of snow, he wouldn't use it because he said it was a waste of gas. I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, then go snow blow the end of the driveway because there's definitely more than 7 inches out there now. Cloud go by. Yeah, I agree, Jen. I would have been like, no, you want me to do the driveway? Fire up the snow blower. What's worse is when it's wet snow. So it's like even heavier. Oh, I hate that shit. Well, Jen, considering gas back then was like 75 cents a gallon, yeah. And my dad bitched about gas price going up. He did use the snowblower when the blizzard of '78 because I had a Boston Terrier and the snow was like 3 feet over her head, so she couldn't go outside to go to the bathroom. So he used the snowblower and made her trails in the backyard. He made her like this little maze out there. He had fun. It was funny though, because I wasn't thinking. It stopped snowing. I wasn't thinking. Dog had to go out. I opened the door and she jumped off the top step and disappeared. I was like, oh shit! I lost my dog. Yeah, she was not happy because she couldn't get out of the hole she made. I had to go get her because she just, I don't know, she didn't comprehend the fact that the snow was over the step level kind of thing, and that it would be over her head. It was funny though watching her run around the little trail. She had a blast. I'll tell you, that dog did not stay out long during the blizzard. After that, that much snow out there. She went out. She went pee. She came back in. Susie, we were lucky so far. Cute, wimpy dog. She wasn't much bigger than Baxter. She's a tiny little thing. Her little feeties got cold quick. Besides, I didn't want to stand there in the cold and wait for her all that, for very long. Simmy's like that. Simmy goes out, does what she needs to do, and comes back in. There's very few times that she gets distracted. Mm. I don't know what they're doing with Caesar's tie out, but I let Simmy outside a couple of days ago, and I hear a whimper coming from the yard next door. And before I could even look, Caesar was running over to my half of the yard, and he was able to reach the kennel this time. Now he's never been able to actually reach it to touch it. So he's standing there and he sticks his nose through the chain link, and Simmy kind of pulled her head back a little bit, like, what the fuck? And then she was like, oh, okay. So they were sniffing noses. It was so cute. I was like, oh, he gets to smell his girlfriend. Hi, girlfriend. Look what you did, Susie. So I let her stay out there for a few minutes, socialize, and maybe kind of jump back and forth along the edge of the kennel. It's only 10 feet, so not a lot of room. But then I was like, all right, you want to eat or what? Oh, she was right back inside. I was like, sorry, Caesar. Food versus man. Food's always going to win. Because he looked at me like, hey. That was funny. So yeah, they got to touch noses. And they peed on the corner of her kennel, of her enclosure. And I was like, claiming that as yours, huh? Okay. He doesn't like it when other dogs coming up my yard. He chases them out of my yard. Like, nope, that girl's mine. Get out. Beautiful dog though. Caesar's gorgeous. Big old Rottweiler. I mean, big old Rottweiler. He a burly boy. He's beefy. And I found out he is not fixed, but Simi is. So I know it's not a that kind of relationship that he wants. Well, he might, but he's not gonna get that response from her. My dog is a lady. Yeah, Simi's always been, go outside, do what she needs to do, come back in, and I like that because I don't like, sitting there waiting. Because whenever we put them on before, wheelchair time and having to have the kennel out there, we put the dogs on tie-outs, and we have so many stray dogs. Well, they're not stray dogs; they're dogs that live down the end of the street that the owners don't give a fuck about apparently because they just run the neighborhood. Um, but because Simi had gotten attacked a few times, I would always stand in the doorway and wait for her to be done. So having a bad back, it was good that she didn't take long. Now it's much easier. I'm sitting down and all I got to do is open the door and she goes down into the kennel. And then she comes inside. Now Miha was such a bitch. She'd go outside, we'd put her outside, and she'd do her business, and then she'd go over to a different section of the yard and just lay down, and surveil her domain. And I'm like, Miha, come on inside. And she'd twitch an ear at me and completely ignore me. I'm like, oh, John, call for your dog. Miha was very stubborn. And she just like depending on the temperature, she was double coated, so she didn't mind it if it was kind of cold out. And she just used to want to lay out in the yard. And I'll tell you, no dogs came in the yard when Miha was around because she tried to kill them. Apparently, word got out after the Chihuahua incident. She almost killed that dog. But that dog lived on the street behind us. Should not have been running around. Keep your little dogs inside. I had to text Donnie Wednesday morning because I'm sitting there, I'm waiting for my mom to come, and his Chihuahuas were outside, and this big old brown dog. It looks like it was maybe I almost want to say it looked like a Weimaraner, but it was tan. It was brown, and its face wasn't right. It might have been a mix, but it comes. I mean, full, just very rapid speed, not running, but walking very quickly up the street and directly to Donnie's house on the porch. He went right up on the porch where the Chihuahuas were, and then this big old black and white pitty was following along behind it. And I mean, you never know what's going to happen. So I texted him. I said, "There's a big old dog on the porch with your little ones." And by the time he got out there, his dog Fifi, the older one, was off the porch, and her and the brown dog were in the yard. I managed to get the black one to go home, black and white one, but the brown one started to leave and then came back. He was all like, "Get your ass in here!" Fifi was like, "Oh shit!" and ran for home. And I don't think the dogs were going to do injury to them because there was no barking or growling, and Chihuahuas will bark at everything. But for my own peace of mind, I wanted him to know that there were big dogs near his little ones, because he just lets his little dogs outside unsupervised, which bothers me. I'm overly paranoid about Cindy getting injured. But given the fact that she has gotten injured, might not be over paranoia. Yeah, it's understandable, Debbie. I mean, I can't, aside from the fact that I don't have the money to travel, um, and I can't get in and out of my house and all that fun stuff. I would have nobody to take care of my babies, um, and I'm kind of good with not traveling. You know, I'm okay. I mean, it would be nice to be able to like go to a meetup or something with you guys, but there's so much baggage I would have to take with me with the wheelchair, and I'd have to bring a bracket thing so I can get out of the wheelchair and transfer, and the dog, and yeah, just no, I'm good. But yeah, I can understand that because I won't. I mean, every time I leave Simi with somebody, unless it was John, she would get hurt. Well, I was able to, she was okay with my son when I was in the hospital and we lived at the other house. But I mean, I can't depend on him now to take care of her, so it's not an option. And Simi does not travel well. Um, when I was going to Florida, I had to go up to North Carolina first and get some stuff out of my storage unit. And then I went down to Florida. So I went from South Carolina, North Carolina, to Winston-Salem in North Carolina, and then down to Middleburg in Florida, which is just outside Jacksonville. And Simi didn't go to the bathroom the entire time. She will not go to the bathroom while we're traveling. So we got there and she went to the bathroom for like 10, 15 minutes straight. I just let it because nobody was home when I got there. They knew I was coming. They knew I was going to be there. I got there and nobody was there. My phone was dead. Luckily, there was an outside plug that I could put my charger in. But I'm like, what the hell? They knew I was coming. Why is there nobody here? So I just opened the outside gate to the backyard and let Simi in there because it's like a quarter acre, a half acre, a yard back there. And man, she was going to the bathroom for 10, 15 minutes. I felt so bad for her. But yeah, if we travel, and that's been since she was little because she was about 3 months old when I was living in North Carolina and I came back to South Carolina. She wouldn't go to the bathroom the entire trip going down. I mean, we had her on a 20-foot lead so that she could, it was like kind of like a tie out, which she will go to the bathroom on a tie out. So I was like, well, I'll use the long lead that I have, and nope, she would not go. She wouldn't even go pee. I'm like, wow, okay, it's just a thing. At least she didn't throw up. You know what I mean? Because that's the worst is when you have a dog and you're traveling and it throws up the car. But yeah, so me and Simi are good staying at home. Wake up, people. Morning, Mr. Jim. I heard you are doing a show with Sandy tonight. Woohoo! And Mr. Jim, my mom even loved my birthday present ring. Thank you so much. It's absolutely delicious. My mom was like, "Ooh, that's nice." I'm like, "You can't have it. It won't fit you." says mine. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. We're gonna have the two rock people, the two people you want to get stoned with the most, on one channel tonight. That's gonna be awesome. Yeah, I don't always type in the chat because my hands hurt so bad, but I do try and pop in there for a little while here and there. If I fall asleep, you guys are usually still on because you guys are on for quite a while. And I only sleep for an hour, 45 minutes at a time. So if I start getting that I gotta lay down because of my back or something, I leave your channel up so that when I wake up I don't have to go click on it again. I'm like, they'll still be there. Hey Nana J. Yep. Jennifer, good morning. Nana J, that's great that you were able to do that. Nana Tink took her dog with her to the meetup that they had. It's nice they were able to get houses that allowed dogs, you know, because a lot of the Airbnb things that you get, they don't allow pets, but it was nice they allowed it. At least I assume they allowed it. Either way, the dog was there. But there's just so much stuff I would have to take with me, and putting it on other people that are there to try and help me take care of the dog, and yeah, I can't. That's awesome. Yeah, when Simi was a baby, when I first got her, I had to leave her for 6 hours with the people that I stayed with. I came back and she had a big blood bubble on her nose, and the woman insisted it was there when I left. I'm like, no, it wasn't, you know. And then I had to leave her at the vet for her surgery. And when I went to pick her up, I don't know if they used a straight razor on her belly or what, but she was all tore up. I mean, like bleeding scabs, you know, razor burn. And so yeah, it just seemed every time I left the dog with anybody, she got hurt. So I got very paranoid about leaving her with anybody. She also had tail phobia after the vet. So I don't know how hard they went after those samples, but they did some to that dog because she would not let you touch her tail after that. She would spin and look at you like, "What are you doing?" You know. And she still has it. Don't tell me dogs don't remember. I touch her tail now and she'll jump a little bit and kind of turn. She doesn't do it as quickly now because she knows I'm not going to hurt her. But 11 years later, she's still like, "Don't touch my butt," you know. Yeah, and she wasn't like that when I adopted her. So it was only after she was at the vet. I violated my dog pretty hard or something. I was not happy at all. So when I was a kid, when I had my Boston Terrier, we used to board her at a kennel when we did the whole family vacation thing. The cat, my mom's cat, would go to my grandmother's because she used to bring the cat to my grandmother's all the time to visit my grandmother's cat, and then they'd go out trolling and looking for birds in the neighborhood. So, but my grandmother at the time didn't want a dog in the house, so uh, dog had to go to the kennel. Something else for my dad to complain about how much it cost. for 2 weeks. Man, was that dog happy to see us when we got back. Boston Terriers are the clowns of the dog world. Later on, my grandmother ended up changing her mind because my aunt brought home a little black and white puppy. And it slept all the time. My grandmother thought it was the greatest thing. I believe it, Nana J. That's cool. I've seen those people with the vans or the little campers that they use. Yeah. Simmy's easy. I don't have to groom her. She's very short hair. Hell, she's never even had a bath. Weirdest dog, man. She does have white on her. She's mostly brindle, but she's got white on her chest and her belly and on her feet. Dirt does not stick to this dog. She can go outside and roll around in dirt and dust and everything else. By the time she comes inside, not a speck of dirt on her. Weird. She's never had a bath. She doesn't stink. She never had a bath. I got really lucky with this dog. She's awesome. Yeah, when we stopped doing family vacations, I remember my dad saying, "Well, good, now I don't have to pay for boarding anymore for the dog." Oh my God. Yeah. Family vacation when I was a kid came at the end of the summer. And the first week we would do things like go to entertainment parks. Like in New Hampshire, they had Santa's Village and different amusement type parks. And we'd go there to the different ones during the week, which you have never seen a man so pissed off as when he puts his visor down saying he doesn't want a bumper sticker stuck to his car and they do it anyway. Ooh. Not good to piss that man off about that. He didn't want any stickers stuck to his car. But then the second half we would go camping with the camper for a week. So it was pretty cool. I have good childhood memories anyway. But yeah, my aunt and uncle brought home that dog. Well, my aunt brought home the dog, and the puppy slept all the time. So they named him Sleepy. That dog hit 4 months old and never slept again. Yep, Santa had his own amusement park. Santa's Village. There was Santa Land and there was Santa's Village. There were two different ones, and they were both supposed to resemble like the North Pole. Yeah, I was an only kid. Yep, they were fun. Got to pet reindeer and all kinds of stuff. It was cool. Got to listen to my dad grumble about how expensive everything was, and my mom go, "Shh, don't ruin it." Yeah. But yeah, that dog never slept after 4 months old, man. And he got big, and my grandmother was not happy because my grandmother was afraid of big dogs. And Sleepy he was some kind of lab mix. He got to about, I don't know, 60 pounds. He was long legged and they didn't train him right. So he jumped on everybody. And I got him to not jump on me. I mean, I was like 7, 8. I'd be like, get off me. He'd go and wander off and jump on somebody else. And when he passed, they waited like a year. And my uncle came home with a basset hound puppy that they named Cleo for Cleopatra because of the ears and the way Cleopatra had her hair. Cleo was awesome. They used to have to put her ears in a scrunchie when she ate so that it wouldn't get in her food. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Yep. Basset hound named Cleo. My grandmother was cool with Cleo because Cleo couldn't jump up. She had tiny little legs. When they started doing their, I think they did Jenny Craig. They would go for walks every night after dinner for like an hour, hour and a half, and they'd take Cleo with them. So it was really funny watching a man who's like, my uncle was 6'6", and my aunt was 4'11". Yeah, they were the odd couple. And then they had this basset hound, which is chubby but really short. It was just so funny. Cleo was a good dog though. Well, Santa has no amusement parks there. I think they closed them down. The ones that were in. I mean, this is when I was little. I think the ones in New Hampshire got closed down. But they were fun while it lasted, and I always had fun on the camping trips. Even though they used to make me go to bed early, I'd be up in the top like loft thing in the camper, and I'd slide the windows open so that I could hear what they were saying. They'd be all sitting around the fire. Everybody'd have their dogs. We didn't have our dog, but everybody else that was at the campground seemed to, and drinking beer and talking about stuff that I don't understand why I couldn't listen to it because it didn't make any sense to me. Wasn't anything bad. And no matter what campground we went to, because we went to different ones, but no matter what campground we were at, there was always some guy who fed the squirrels. He would have a squirrel that would like follow him around or sit on his shoulder, and he'd feed it peanuts. Every single, it was like a rule or something that every campground had to have a squirrel guy. Well, no, we had one campground that had a chipmunk guy. He had a little chipmunk that used to ride around in his pocket, and he'd sit down, and the chipmunk would pop out of his pocket and sit on a picnic table and eat peanuts. Yeah, like campground requirements or something. I want to see the advertisement for that job. You had a cat named Cleo? Yeah. My grandmother had a cat named Novi. She was named Novi for Nova Scotia because that's where my grandmother was from. And I mentioned to my mom when we were having our conversation that I don't know. I said I know we have relatives in Nova Scotia, but I don't know anything about them. I said, Grammy and Grandpa never talked about them. She goes, they never talked about them to me either. So my brain is like, okay, there's a mystery here. I'm like, what is going? Did they ostracize her from the family? Did they not like my grandfather? If you marry him, you're not a family member anymore. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, never saw any cards or anything from any members of her family, like on holidays. You display your cards and stuff. It was only for the people like her kids and their kids and me, things like that. But there was never any cards from anybody from anywhere like Nova Scotia or anything. It was weird. So mysterious. And of course, there's no way to find out now. But did you just put in octopus boobs? Octo titties. TG. Hey, at least you don't have to have straps to hold those suckers up. They stick all by themselves. Yeah, I always look forward to the last 2 weeks of summer because I had to deal with going to camp for 8 weeks. And I know everybody's like, "Oh, rough life, kid. You had to go to camp," which I growing up, I didn't even know that other people didn't go to camp. I just thought everybody did. In hindsight, I now realize how very lucky I was that I was able to go to camp. Although at the time, it felt like my parents just wanted me out of the way because they didn't want to pay a babysitter. They didn't want me hanging out at my grandmother's all the time. She probably didn't either. But yeah, went to camp every day. I remember, um, I think I was 7, and every summer they had, well, every 4 weeks they had like a family day, at the end of the 4 weeks, because most kids went to camp for 4 weeks. Well, most of them that went to that camp went for 4 weeks. And so we would have family day, and they do these, like, they'd have these ditches that you could then put coal or whatever in, and then you put a grate on it, and that's what you use to grill your food and stuff like that, which was kind of cool. But I remember we were down by the frog pond, which is also where everybody learned how to canoe and rowboat. And there were big bullfrogs in there. I was the champion bullfrog catcher of camp. Thank you very much. And we were down by the pond, and it was not overcast, but it was not bright sunny. You know what I mean? And I don't remember why, because my mom told me I wasn't allowed to catch bullfrogs while they were there. But I put my hand in the water, and the water was warm. And I looked at them, and I was like, catch them? What do you mean gig them? The water was almost hot. And I looked at my dad. I was like, it's going to rain. You guys should probably pack up the picnic stuff. He goes, what do you know about if it's going to rain? Look at it. It's not going to rain. Da, da, da. Like 10 minutes later, it was pure downpour. I'm like, not going to rain, huh? So that was the end of family day. Why would I stick them? That's gross, Debbie. There were some big bullfrogs in that little pond, too. It's not easy catching bullfrogs. You have to be very stealthy. Oh, Debbie, that's disgusting. No. It wasn't the kind of camp that you had to hunt for your own food. Damn. Shit. No, we just caught them and then showed everybody, hey, look at the bullfrog I caught. And then you put them back in the pond so they can make more bullfrogs. That's gross. Let me tell you, back then, if anybody had even suggested killing one of those frogs, I would have punched them right in the face, because harming another creature was completely abhorrent to me. You get your food at the supermarket. They do all the work for you. Nope. Camp was very, very conductive, though. I mean, I learned how to cook on fire. I learned how to build a fire. You know, I learned how to sail. I learned that walking a mile and a half to go sailing was a pain in the ass. And then having to walk a mile and a half back when you don't want to. Like, aren't there vehicles that could get us there faster? Yeah. And I got along pretty much with everybody except this one girl in one of the last years of camp. She was obnoxious shit, man. She got slapped. No, TG, we had outhouses for that and bathroom facilities, depending on where we were located in camp at the time. I learned at the first camp I was at, I learned archery, which I ended up in the end being really good at. The second camp I ended up going to, because you could only go to that one camp until you were a certain age. When I was 11, I had to switch camps, and I only agreed to go because they had horses, but they had riflery, so I learned how to officially shoot a 22. I already knew how, but I didn't want to tell them, hey, I shot my neighbor off his roof. I know how to shoot a gun. They tend to not want to hand you a weapon if you tell them that. And then I spent most of my time, I got my life-saving certificate and spent the rest of my time at the barn. It's the only place I wanted to be, was around the horses. So the lady that ran the barn was actually a friend of mine from when I was in private school. One of my really good friends, Tori, it was her mom that had the horses there. So Tori was hanging around, and Mrs. Hollingworth taught me how to take care of horses. She taught me how to groom. She taught me how to clean stalls, and she helped me get my job at the barn that I worked at when I was 12. But and then the next year, oh, the disaster of the next year. My mom was talking to my friend Steven's mom and said, "Oh, well, we sent Steven to this camp and it was great." And da 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 da. And, they have horses there, so she'll want to go. And it was a Christian camp. I did not want to go. They did have horses there, but I still did not want to go. It was an away camp, and I had actually never been to an away camp. So, yeah, it was not a good experience. The horses were great, although they let one of them die, and I wanted to stay behind and help because he got colic. And we were supposed to go on a trail ride with the other horses. And I told them, I said, I would rather stay here and help them take care of this horse. They wouldn't let me do it. And the kid they had walking him around was not good at handling the horses, especially if there was a situation where he had to take charge. And by the time we got back from our trail ride, they had already taken the horse to the vet and had to have it put down. So, because he let the horse lay down and roll, and it flipped the horse's stomach. So, yeah, horse died. I was so pissed off. And I was so sad. And I pretty much spent as much time as I could at the barn. But the camp director wanted everybody to call him Uncle Miles, and to me that's creepy. That's the camp that I went on the 3-day hike in the White Mountains, and the counselors got us lost, and then wouldn't admit it. We were definitely lost. Yeah, and then they were going to make me go on another 3-day hike, and I was so traumatized from the first one. I was like, and called Mom. I said, "Get me out of here." Yeah, it was not a good experience. They made us get up at 6 a.m. for Bible study. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh my God. So they'd all be doing their Bible study thing, and I'd be sitting there reading like some historical romance book. And she's like, if you don't pay attention, you won't be able to answer questions. I'm like, ask me a question. So she'd ask me a question, I'd answer it correctly. I'm like, there you go. And I'd go back to reading my book. I'm like, leave me alone. Shouldn't be forcing religion down children's throats. Nana J, I wanted a horse so bad when I was a kid. I did. And my dad said no. So when I was 12, I got a job working at a barn. It was a schooling and boarding barn. So they, did lessons, and they also boarded horses. So that was as close as I got, which I was really happy with. I worked there for a year, and then they got a new barn manager who told me I was too young to be around the horses. I'm like, I'm 13. What are you talking about? The owner's daughter is 7, and she's climbing all over her pony like it's a jungle gym. I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah. And he was ripping off the barn big time. He was getting kickbacks from a vet that he forced everybody to do his own medications and get medications from his vet. And he was undermining the barn big time. So when he turned around and told me the only thing I was able to do was clean the bathrooms, I was like, no, I'll clean horse shit. I'm not cleaning up after you. And I handed him the scrub brush, told him what he could do with it, left the owner a 4-page letter telling her what he was up to. And overnight, she put in surveillance cameras, busted his ass so hard, and he was gone. And she actually called my mom to see if I wanted to come back. And by then, I was doing other things, and I didn't have the time to be able to work at the barn. So, but yeah, that second camp that I went to, they actually called my mom, and they were like, "She's not doing any of the activities." And my mom's like, "Well, what is she doing?" And they're like, "Well, she's at the barn all the time." And my mom's like, "Well, she's not getting into trouble, right?" And they're like, "No." And she goes, "Well, we're paying for her to be there. As long as she's not doing anything wrong, leave her alone." But in order for me not to have to do swimming lessons, I had to be certified. I had to get my life saving certificate. And so I was like, give me the book, because it was a book we had to study. I was like, give me the book and I'll take the test. So they gave me the book. They were like, well, you're only 11. They're like, usually people don't get their life saving certificates till they're like 13. I was like, watch me. And I did first try. Bam, got my certificate. I was like, good. Now I don't have to go for swim lessons. Have a nice day. I'll be at the barn. Hmm. Are they heavy coats, Debbie? Because a lot of people will put a light blanket on their horses during the summer or spring to keep bugs off them. Although, I never understood the purpose of putting a coat on a horse if it's going to go out. I used to watch them do this all the time. They put the blanket on the horse. Horse would go out into the pasture, roll around, the blanket would be all twisted up. I'm like, yeah, that's functional. And then I have to go out there, and I'm like, ugh. I'm like, you know what? If they get cold, they move around. They don't, need the coat. But wrapping their legs, I can see, but I always thought it was kind of pointless. Just if the horse is in a stall and the barn's cold, yeah, okay. But I loved working in the barn, man. Yeah, they don't. I mean, there were issues when I worked at the barn, but I still loved working because I love working with the horses, and I got to ride for free, and that was my whole goal, was to be able to ride. I taught myself how to jump on a horse. You know what I mean? Um, had an instructor almost kill me by telling me to do something with a horse that is totally not natural. And the horse, it confused the shit out of him, and he took off like a shot and went over a 5.5 foot jump. This horse had never jumped before in his life, neither had I. And I lost the stirrups as we were going over the jump, and then he bucked. And I either got hit by the stirrup or one of his hooves. I don't know. He had hooves the size of dinner plates. Um, but I flipped right over his head and landed about an inch away from one of the cross ties that was on the ground. So she almost killed me because my helmet flew off my head. Morning, Don. Be careful driving. But she got fired. I mean, the owner started yelling at me, and I'm laying on the ground going, "Oh my God, what the fuck?" Because I said every curse word I knew and a few that I had made up. And she came in and she's like, "We don't need that kind of language." And I'm like, "Did you see what just happened?" One, she was astounded that the horse went over that jump. You have to understand this horse was a cross between a thoroughbred and a Clydesdale. He was massive. And they had always just used him as a pack rider, like someone for beginners, because he was kind of like, and he was very casual and went through the easy paces very smoothly. But he was definitely not a jumper. And they were like, he just went over a 5.5 foot jump. We didn't know he could do that. I'm like, I'm dying, whole side of my knee swelled up. And I had to get back on the horse and walk him around. And it was funny because, the owner's like, you have to get back on the horse. You have to get back on the horse. And I'm like, my knee. I'm like, I hurt my knee. I don't know if I can stand up long enough to get on the horse. But I had them bring over the step-up stool thing. And, oh, it hurt so bad to have the inside of my knee leaning against, because you use leg pressure on, when you write English. And, oh, my leg hurts so bad. But I walked him around. I wasn't mad at the horse because I knew exactly why he did what he did. And, I got back to where they were, and I got off the horse, and I'm hearing the instructor blaming me for everything. And I turned around, I was like, look, you stupid bitch. You told me to cross over my reins trying to make this size horse turn on a dime. He's not going to do that without a lot of training. You had me do something he didn't know what I was trying to ask him, and he freaked out. And Stephanie looked at her, he goes, you had her do what? And yeah, she got fired like immediately. and they actually sent that horse to hunt school because once they realized his potential, they wanted to turn him into a hunter. So he went to hunt school. But I had a lot of fun at that barn, and I did ride that horse again. His name was Randy. Um, and when I say he was huge, I mean I couldn't even get my arms all the way around his neck. Like if I was standing in front of him and like tried to hug him, my hands, my I could just barely touch my fingertips where his mane was. He was just, I mean, he was huge, and he was the most awesome horse though. He stole a carrot out of my back pocket, ripped my pocket. I'm like, damn, yeah. I loved all the horses there except the racehorse that we got in. The owner's husband had racehorses in Florida, and apparently they got injured a lot, so they ended up at our barn for recovery. Because she's not an angel, Debbie. Stop perpetuating the lie. Um, and we got this one horse. He was a dapple gray. Man, that horse was an asshole. And they wouldn't tell us what his name was because they didn't want anybody knowing. I guess I don't know what the big secrecy was, but they wouldn't tell us his name. So she is not. So I just called him Nudge because he was a nudge. You'd go to feed him and he'd charge you. I'm like, look, it's your food. If you don't want to eat it, that's fine, but I'm not giving it to you if you run it at me. He grabbed me by his, he grabbed me, he bit me, he grabbed me on my forearm when I was putting food in his bucket, and I had to punch him in the nose to get him to let me go. I was like, you son of a bitch, because he picked me right up off the floor. I was like, hell no, punched him right in the nose. He stayed in the back of the stall every time I came in after that. He was like, nope, she a bitch, she hit me. Sorry, but tough love. You know, it didn't hurt him, it just startled him. But yeah. Racehorses are so spoiled. It absolutely appalls me that they spoil racehorses so bad, yet they treat race dogs like shit. You know? Well, I'm glad you love your bestie, but you shouldn't be delusional about her. She's not an angel. You should see their flaws as well as their good things. Right? Yeah, TG, we know that's not you. Yeah, you'd still be way far away from me, though. Debbie's on the other side of the state from me. Like, as far on the other side of the state as you can get. I'm at the Georgia border and she's on the ocean border. Unless she's going swimming, you can't get much farther than that. And I'll tell you, I'm definitely not going to Georgia. Aw. I went to Florence once on purpose. I went once not on purpose, but the time we went on purpose, I think it took us 6.5, 7 hours. That was a long trip with two kids in the car. God, and John. But my best friend's mom was traveling from Florida to Maine, and apparently she hadn't had the tires checked before she left, and she blew out radials on two of them, and the garage wanted to charge her like $150 a tire because he knew that she needed them, and it was a little like hole in the water garage, off the highway. It was the only thing she could get to. And so we had tires, and John, of course, talked to her about lug nuts and tire size and whatever the fuck it was. So we were able to grab a couple of tires and threw them in the back of our little pickup truck and threw the kids in there, and off we went. We got there, and I ripped that that garage owner a new ass. I was like, "You're telling me that you're going to take advantage of a woman who's traveling to go see her grandkids, and she's traveling all the way up the East Coast, and you're going to take advantage of her?" I'm like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "Now we brought tires, so we need you to put them on the rims." I was like, "And you best not try charging me a shit ton of money either." And he was just like, "You're right." He's like, I should be more humanely friendly and help out somebody in need. He goes, "I'll tell you what," he goes, "I'm gonna take care of her tires for free." So um he ended up putting the tires we brought on the rims for free and putting them on her car for her. And off she went. So but yep. That was an interesting call to get. My friend Rose called at like 6:30 in the morning. "Can you go rescue my mom?" Like I'm like, "What?" Off we went because that's what friends do, right? And I love her mom. Her mom was so awesome. So that's what we did. And John checked over all her fluids in the car before he let her leave. She was okay. She needed a little bit of top up for radiator and oil, but other than that, she was fairly good. She's like, "They checked it before I left." He goes, "Well, they should have checked your tires too." So he's like, "I'll check them for you." He left his pocket knife under that damn car. We got home and he's like, "Where's my pocket knife?" It was a cool, like Eagle pocket knife too. He was like, "Shit, where's my pocket knife?" And I'm like, "I bet you anything you left it under the hood of her car." He goes, "Oh no." Yeah. Yeah, she didn't have AAA. Hi, Bobby. Made it just in time. About 10 minutes. I'm going to be closing it down. Yeah, she's always impersonating an angel. Yeah, happy belated birthday, Bobby. Man, watching Ella eat that cake. It's a good thing that I don't like red velvet cake, or I would have been so hungry. I didn't want to get yelled at. Everybody was like, "Oh my god, I love red velvet," and I'm just sitting here going, "Ew," because I don't like red velvet. So I just stayed really quiet because I didn't want everybody to yell at me. Yeah. I like white cake. I also like, well, I like yellow cake. I like chocolate cake. Chocolate cake's my favorite. My son could never make up his mind what if he wanted, white cake or whatever. So we used to just get him the marble ones. Like, there, now you have the best of both worlds. Oh yeah. I always use egg. No, red velvet has a different taste to it. Someone told me once it was supposed to be like chocolate but red or something. I'm like, no, no, it's not. Hey, Kent. But red velvet cake wasn't a thing that I grew up with, and its taste is not to my liking. according to Google, what flavor is red velvet cake? Because, I got to ask these things. Red velvet cake tastes like a very mild cocoa with a slightly tart edge. Cream cheese frosting is the most forward flavor. Perhaps even more important than the taste is the texture. Smooth, soft, tender, and light with creamy icing. So yeah, it's supposed to, like I said, it's supposed to kind of taste like chocolate. But to me, it doesn't. And I'm a chocolate snob. So, and I've tried different things in red velvet just to give it a chance because I'm in South Carolina and they're all red velvet crazy here. So they have red velvet cake, red velvet muffins, red velvet cookies. They have red velvet everything. And I have tried it in various different forms, and I didn't like any of it. So it is not for me. I like lemon cake too. Lemon cake is good. So, TG's eating great. Ugh, Vegemite frosting, gross. Oh, I like lemon bars too. It would depend on the pie, but normally I'd go for cake. That's because you eat gross things, TG. Fake meat and weird Vegemite crap. I don't like. I'm not eating liquid ass. Stuff's gross. It's all right. Just means there's more for you, TG. There wasn't a lot of exploration with food with me with growing up. My mom she cooked basics, and we just didn't really experience food. It was just basics. Welcome back, Carol. So, like, we never had Mexican. Mexican wasn't a thing where I lived. So, I'm not real big on Mexican food. I like burritos, but I don't like a whole bunch of crap in them. So, people look at me funny. I like chicken pot pie. And the only restaurant we had in town was like seafood steak Italian type of combination. So I don't eat spicy anything. It hurts me. But when I was in Sacramento, John took us to this little hole in the wall burrito place, well, Mexican food place. He's like, their burritos are amazing. You got to have one. I'm like, okay. I didn't think they were going to make it for me because I asked them and you have to ask for everything that you want in it specifically right down to having like the red sauce. So I was like, okay, I want beef, red sauce, mild red sauce, and cheese and onions. And she sat there, she wrote it all down, and she's looking at me. I'm like, that's it. She freaked out and started yelling at me in Spanish. And I looked at John, I'm like, do you understand anything she's saying? He's like, yep, I'm not repeating it. I was like, I didn't think she was gonna make it for me because I didn't want a whole bunch of crap in my food. I'm like, but man, that thing was bigger than my head. It was the burrito was absolutely huge. I could only eat half of it, and you had to eat it with like a fork, and you couldn't even pick it up. It was so big. Must have weighed 2 pounds. John made her happy though because he got a burrito with everything. And she just gave me this look like, wow. But yeah, any kind of hot spice I can't do at all. Even mild taco seasoning is too hot for me. I have to have burrito seasoning. I can't. Like John, whenever we had taco nights, which always ended up more burrito nights, but um, he'd get the taco seasoning. He'd get like 2 pounds of hamburger, and he'd make two different pans of meat, and one would have the burrito mix in it, and the other would have the taco mix in it, so that I could eat. Nope, it burns me double, and then I can't taste anything for like 3 days. I mean, my shit's so sensitive that if there's even like one red pepper flake in my food, I can taste it. Same with celery. Ugh, not a big fan of celery. You know, I've never had a margarita. I've had a daiquiri. I've had a big ass daiquiri in a glass bigger than my head. That was good. I've never had a margarita. I know you do, Jennifer. I told John, I was like, well, at least you know I'd never leave you for Mexican. I don't like the food. And they would expect to eat, what they would want to eat. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd be able to cook it because I manage to be able to cook anything, but I wouldn't be able to eat it. Yeah, see, I don't like, mm-mm. It's like my fridge would be divided in half. I'd have the white half and the Mexican half. You know what I mean? I'd be like, So, yeah, not really the issue at this point, but I used to joke around with John about that. I mean, I just wasn't raised with it. I suppose, if I had been exposed to it when I was a kid, maybe, but I like herbs in my food. I don't like spice. Like, I love seasoning, you know, but I like to be able to taste my food. So, any kind of hot spice, hot peppers, any of that. And the most I can do are bell peppers. That's as close as I can get, you know? Oh no, Nana J, that sucks when you find out you can't eat something. I know it's going to sound weird, but I had that problem with hot dogs. They give me heartburn and they affect my blood pressure, so I can't eat them anymore, which is no great loss. They're not really good for you anyway, but yeah. Now, see, my kids had spicy food because John likes spicy food. My son loves hot food, but I wasn't going to stop them from eating it. If John wanted to go through the trouble of making two different pans of food when he made tacos, hey, more power to him. If kids, it saved the burrito side for me because the kids would help him eat all the spicy stuff. He'd always be like, "How come you're always the one with leftovers?" I'm like, "Because I'm not eating spicy food." So he made his family chili recipe, which is technically a Cincinnati chili, but they call it Empress chili. He got the recipe from his grandfather, and the first time he made it, I had to make sandwiches for myself. I was like, "Holy crap!" My eyes are watering even getting close to that. It was so spicy. So The next time he made one pot with almost no spice, and the other one had spice, and the kids devoured the hot one, and I was able to have several meals out of the one that he made for me. See, I don't feel the need to work up to eating anything. If I don't like it, I don't like it. You know what I mean? I will tell you that Mexican deep fried ice cream is the bomb. I did have that at a restaurant. It was the only thing I enjoyed at the restaurant because John's mom was Mexican food crazy. Every time we wanted to go out to eat, John and I would normally go to Chinese buffet, and she was like, "I want Mexican," and she was just such a bitch that we'd have to go or we'd never hear the end of it. So, I'd end up at a restaurant where there's no food that I can eat. I'm like, great. And John would end up telling them, "Your food's not spicy enough." I'm like, God. So that whole well, you'll learn to like it. Why? Why would I want to do that? It's not like it's gonna change my life if I eat this food that I don't like to eat. You know what I mean? I never understood that concept of having to eat something you don't like. Oh, nice, Kent. See, nope, no spicy Chinese either. No spicy anything. Not for me. I'm not big on chili. Actually, for the longest time, I wouldn't eat chili with beans in it because I didn't like the beans. They were just not good. But ironically, Kent, um, when I was in Florida before my friend Donnie got really sick with cancer, he was making chili one day, and I wandered in. I was like, "Ooh, that smells good." He goes, "Yep," and he dumped a bunch of beans in it, and I'm like, "Oh, never mind." He goes, "Oh, girl, you're gonna eat it. The beans are gonna be so tender they'll melt right away." I'm like, "Okay," and then he put mustard in it, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Trust me." I'm like, "I," and oh my god, that chili was so good, and nobody else liked it in the house but me and Donnie, so he made a huge pot of it. So we were eating chili for like a week and a half, but it was really good. It was really, really good. All right, guys. If you've got links you want to drop, go ahead and drop them. Don't forget, Sandy is going to be on with Mr. Jim tonight, so go get stoned with them, 7 p.m. Eastern. Um, that's going to be epic. The two people you want to get stoned with the most. Gonna be rocking it, literally. And I don't know if anybody's live right now. Well, let me check my subscription list and see if anybody's live. Oh, Melanie and Creative Creations by D. Fabric sale, auction, and chat for Creative Creations by D. And Make Me Smile sale for Melanie. I think Melanie just went live. So I am gonna go to bed. Tit Tibble. Why are your boobs sad? Yeah, Bobby, definitely. I like it mild. And that's what he said the mustard was for, that the mustard cuts down on the any kind of hot spices or anything. I'm like, why don't you just not put them in there? He goes, no, you got to put them in there. So it was really, really good. Thank you, Carol. I hope you guys all have a good day. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. And I will try and do my show on Wednesday. Again, it depends on how I'm feeling, but I will try to get that down there going. But I hope everybody has an awesome weekend. Oh, I hate leaving you too, Dibble, but I am so tired. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which pretty much leaves most of your options open. So you should have a pretty good weekend. You know what I'm saying? Don't name it after me though if I'm not there to enjoy the fun part. I love you guys. Bye, y'all.